Hello, welcome back to another edition of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. I'm your host, as always, the Mouth of Michigan, Rob Mendeca. With me, as always, my co-host, the Merkzone, Mike Merkel.
I'm here.
And we have so much to go over this week. Mike, we just got back from Chicago. We are exhausted. We've been on the road for 5+ hours. But we're here. We're making sure we hit our deadlines like we promised our listeners every single week, Monday, 7 a.m. It's never going to change. We just got back from Chicago, AEW Revolution, we went and saw there. If you watched the pay-per-view, weirdly enough, something that neither Mike nor myself knew when we bought the tickets, but if you watched the pay-per-view, send us a screenshot of the live camera view because you would have seen the beautiful Merkzone. You would have seen my beautiful face, as well as the brain Emily Merkel. We were there live, and we were on opposite side of the hard camera. And if you're a wrestling fan, you know what that means. Where basically the majority of the matches are shot a certain way, and you see some of the crowd in the background. We were there. You could have seen our beautiful faces there pretty much all night long. So if you did see us, feel free to send us a screenshot, IAR broadcastmedia@gmail.com. Send it to us on our contact page, I'mAlwaysRightPC.com, or tweet at us at the Merkzone, or is it at Mike Merkel, or is it at Merkzone? Which one is it?
Mike Merkel.
At Mike Merkel. At Mike Merkel, or at Rob Mendeca, or obviously tweet it at the show, at I'm Always Right PC. We'd love to see those screenshots. We'll tag you guys. We'll give you all the credit in the world. But we were there. We were live. We saw the first ever AEW World Title change, Mike, at Revolution. Saw a lot of great action there. Our first AEW show. Was that your first pay-per-view? Your first pay-per-view ever, right? Yes. WWE or anything else, right? Mike's first pay-per-view. My first pay-per-view probably since, I think, WrestleMania 23. So it's been a hot minute since I've been to one. We've been to many shows together now at this point. But let's just start off talking about AEW. They are the new hotness right now. Not to overshadow Ring of Honor. We have a new Ring of Honor World Champion, too, in Rouge. But let's talk Moxley, new AEW Champion. Your thoughts on the big title change before we go down the rest of the card.
It was very deserved, and I kind of expected it to happen.
Yeah.
But it's nice that they pulled the trigger on it, and good for him. And I think he's gonna have a nice little run in the next probably about 4 to 6 months that he'll have the title.
Right. It was pretty cool to be there, right? Yeah. To kind of see that happen live, right? You always kind of, I remember, it's not often normally when shows come, especially to Detroit where we're at, where most of the time you're not seeing anything major happen. You know what I mean? Like, you hope. There's always that finger crossed type of thing. But, Chicago, a little bit bigger city, a little more populated, things happen. They've really made roots, AEW has, in Chicago. And so to be able to see that title change happen was great. It was really exciting to be there. It was fun to be there in the crowd. You like I said, for sure, send us those screenshots, though. We're going to actually buy the pay-per-view now and make sure people can see us now just to see. But yeah, they make the switch, right? Moxley is probably the second biggest star in the company behind Jericho, at least single star right now, I would say, huh? I mean, as far as his momentum and everything else that he's done, I feel like they positioned him to be, the new especially the hottest free agent they've signed. Yeah, for sure.
I would say it's. I mean, Cody's very high up there as a singles guy too, but you can argue those two are probably the two biggest guys.
Right, and of course, you look at it, Cody and him, first two guys to get legitimate AEW World Title shots too, right? On the first two pay-per-views, right? What do you think is the ceiling for Moxley as champion? We remember now in 2016 when he was WWE champion, it didn't really fit, in my opinion, right? He won it, everyone was like, yes, he finally got there, but then his title reign really kind of just was there until he faced Styles, and that's where he dropped the title. So I don't really feel like his WWE title run was anything that memorable. You know what I mean? So obviously he's looking to turn the page here with his second world title run in AEW. I mean, what's his ceiling for you? Is it, do you think he can be a guy that's going to really carry the ball for the next, let's say, 6 to 8 months? Or is this more like he's going to hold it and then whoever the new heel is, whether it's MJF, which we'll talk about in a second, or whether it's Hangman Page, if we finally see that turn, or something else like that. What are you looking forward to see out of this reign?
I think he's going to be one of the fighting, quote-unquote, champions who will just go, oh, you want this match now? You can have it, which I think is going to hurt the title in the short run, but in the long run, it's going to make it for a very memorable title reign. Because I think they're going to give opportunities to guys, kind of like Jericho was doing, but not as much to like Scorpio Sky and Jungle Boy, where it's like, you want a match, come on in, we'll fight or something. Where I think now it's like, you're going to have a perception of, wow, just anyone can go fight for that championship now. But at the same time, Moxie's going to probably beat all of these people, and then you're going to go, but it's almost unstoppable to beat this guy. Kind of like they did with Jericho, where in the short run, it was like, man, why does Jungle Boy have a championship match or whatever? But then in the long run, you're like, man, he had 6 title defenses, and when Moxie beats him, you're like, wow, that's a big guy that he just beat. So I think they're going to do the same thing where down for the next 6 months or so, it's going to be smaller guy, but you're like, man, he just racked up 12 title defenses. So now whoever beats him, maybe MJF as a heel or whoever they decide to go with, it's going to be like, wow, that guy just really just did it.
And I think they need to take a little bit of a page out of the NXT book where Cole, because NXT and AEW are similar in fact that they don't run pay-per-views every month, right? So you have to wait sometimes for those big payoff matches. Like, with Adam Cole and his NXT title run, you had like Finn Balor, you had a Matt Riddle challenge for the title, right? Where on these shows that they've built up for, it's kind of like, oh, by the way, Riddle's got a title shot next week, right? So it's a guy that you, in theory, could see winning the championship, but he doesn't get it done, right? I mean, they could very well do that same thing where it's like, oh, all of a sudden, all right, now Darby Allin's got a world title shot. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, okay, Darby Allin's got a world title shot. Or maybe Hager goes in and tries to go for the title to avenge that. Guys that they've kind of tried to position somewhere near the middle top of the card. They're trying to get up in that upper echelon to say, all right, and then Moxley just has a great match with them to kind of establish his dominance.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's dead on the money. Let's talk about the other 2 really big matches on the card, and then I'll get your thoughts on the show overall. Let's talk the tag titles here. Hangman, Adam Page, Kenny Omega, they retain the tag titles over the Young Bucks in what was a phenomenal match. Really from start to finish. Great storytelling. They kept that throughout the match, right? Where you'd see high spot, high, and then you'd see, all right, let's bring it back, right? And there was these little nuances, with the teasing, the slap on the chest, the initial tag by Hangman, like those little things where you're just like, all right, you still feel that tension, even though they're working well as a team. Did you think they made the right call, though, on keeping the titles on Page and Omega rather than giving them to the Young Bucks and possibly making a heel turn? Either way, because I still think there's a small twinge that sees maybe Kenny turn over Hangman because Hangman is getting so over.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's right to keep it on them for a little longer because I think there's a certain point where the story goes, okay, finally just turn, like you're kind of over all the teasing, you just have to do it.
And I don't want them to get there. That's my thing. I don't want to get to the point where, all right, we're at 6 months. And we're still waiting.
We're still waiting. Like, you don't want to get that long, but it's also you have to plan it perfectly where I don't think right now it's long enough because and it's weird because they're really making you think it's coming, right? Like on this show. Right. Because literally the entire hype package is
Paige just and like, Kenny's worried about him and the Bucks are calling him out.
Yeah, that's the entire hype package. Right. So then you're like, all right, so it's almost like too obvious. It's kind of like with the Dark Order stuff, where it's like it's almost so obvious that it's this guy, it might not be that guy, or kind of thing. But it's like it's like so obvious that he's gonna turn. Right. So then everyone's like, all right, so he's gonna turn here, and then when he doesn't, you're like, now it's like every week on Dynamite, you're gonna have. Okay, now he's going to verse the Lucha Bros. Now he's got Jurassic Express. Which one of these matches is he going to
set him off?
So now you have to watch every single week, which is a very good strategy to get the viewership in there.
It's weird because you saw at the end of that match, right? And if you haven't watched the show, I'm sorry, no spoilers. You need to go watch the show.
Yeah.
But at the end of the match, right? They got the titles, right? Kenny kind of, all right, I forgive the Bucks, whatever. And then you see the last second, the Bucks kind of bail, and then Kenny's standing there, and you see Page go for the top rope. Right, like he's gonna go for that buckshot clothesline, and then he kind of pulls off. He's like, no, we're fine. It makes me feel like he's getting so far over that it's almost going to happen where, like, it's going to be the reverse, where all of a sudden Kenny just goes ballistic and does it. Or, because I honestly thought there was a brief second there was like, all 3 of them are going to attack Page now. And it's going to be like a weird mosh of stuff. That's why I thought a title change there could have made sense because everyone thinks it's Page that has the problem, but in reality it's maybe the Bucks and Omega that are like, all right, clearly he's the new hot young stud on the block. he's getting over better than they are. So it's like, all right, we're going to cut his knees out from under him before you can really generate that momentum to get the world title.
I think it's going to be a situation where, especially if they really plan on bringing 6-man titles in, eventually is the talks that they want to do that as their next title, is I think if Kenny takes the fall to lose the title, I think then, and the Bucks come out, and then they start like comforting only Kenny, and Hangman's like, we both lost the titles, right? I think that's a good time when you can turn, and then they can be the first 6-man champs as a heel champ. And then maybe sometime down the line, Paige gets 2 groupies together, and I think you can make a storyline there. So I think for long term, not knowing if more titles or what's going to be happening comes, I think that could be a way they could go if those actual titles.
For sure, absolutely. All right, let's talk now probably the biggest story out of AEW, right? MJF versus Cody, right? Cody finally gets a shot at MJF, right? I thought the match was good. I wouldn't say it was great. I would say it was good. Your thoughts on the match, the result? MJF gets the win after, the loaded fist, quote unquote, right? Hits him with the ring or whatever, the brass knucks, whatever you want to call it. Cody takes the fall. MJF kind of falls into a victory almost, with the interference. So you keep Cody up at a level, but MJF gets a needed win there over a top guy. Thoughts on that match? And did you think that... I'm guessing there's more coming, clearly, right?
Yeah.
So, but chapter 1 of this, did it deliver the way you hoped it would? Because this is the match that you were looking forward to the most going in. You were like, Cody MJF, I see that, I'm pretty much good for the night. So, thoughts on the execution?
See, I was very good with the match overall. I thought I was going to have problems very early on because I think you noted it while we were watching, was he came down and the bell rings and he's not going straight after kind of just like a pickup, just beat the crap out of you. He's going for technical wrestling moves, and you're like, why is that? And at first I was like, oh, this is going to be annoying because when you go back to Gargano Ciampa and you have all of that heat and storytelling, and then they come out and they're just going balls to the walls in the first 30 seconds, you're like, that makes sense. But I think the story made more sense at the end when he's hitting 15 crossroads, and instead of just pinning him to win, he's like, no, I want to beat you up even more and more. And that's doing one too many is what loses it. I think that storytelling means more than doing it in the early part where he's just beating the crap out of you very early. I think you could have done both, but I think I liked it at the end. So at the beginning I was like, oh, this is not going to be as good as I thought, and then it turns
Were you good with Cody with the finish itself? Right? Were you good with MJF actually going over in this match? I know we kind of tossed it back and forth even on the ride there. Where we're like, well, Cody could win, and you could still kind of progress it because he gets the revenge, and it's like he got back, but then MJF's going to come back with a vengeance. Or you could do the other way where MJF kind of sneaks away with the victory, which is wound up happening. Right? We kind of posed both scenarios there. Thoughts on MJF actually getting the win? Do you think this positions him to be the next the next legitimate challenger for the world title, or do you think this needs more before you can say that?
I think this needs... Well, I don't think it needs more right now, but I think there will be more in the future. Because I think the story that they're eventually going to tell is... this could go one more in the immediate future. I think MJF will win the next one too, where he just front loads all his wins. I think he's going to go on a massive streak and probably even win the world title. But then at the end of the year, I think Cody's going to be like, let me fight you for that title, career versus title, some weird stipulation, and that's what he wins. So he wins the title and he gets his revenge all on the same night. And probably the next full year, that November pay-per-view.
Whatever they say is their big show of the year, basically. We haven't really decided what it is. I don't know if that's
I'm pretty sure it's going to be the all-out, whatever they call it, that September 1st show. It's going to be their marquee show, because no other show has it at that time. But
for sure. It's going to be interesting for sure. Overall grades on the show. The reason why I'm asking for a grade is because in a second here, we're going to talk WWE Super Showdown, unfortunately. So what was your grade? We were there live, right? You get it's a totally different feel. A pay-per-view experience if you've never been. A pay-per-view compared to a live show or even a television taping is completely different. It's a big fight atmosphere. There's a different energy around it. I know it's not real. I get it. So easy, calm it down. But when you're in the building, you feel the electricity. You feel something a little bit different, right? It's just something about it. You feel like, all right, I'm watching something that's going to change the course of what they're doing for the next, say, 5-6 weeks of television before we get to the next pay-per-view. grade the show for me, everything considered. Would you have liked it more if you were at home?
I don't.
Or less. Did it help that you were there?
No, I don't think it really impacted that much.
Okay.
I think I will say the match that impacted most was probably like an Orange Cassidy Pac match.
Yes.
Where I think at home I would have been like, this is like fine. Like it's a good match. Like I see what they're doing, but it's boring. But when you're there, you just feel like
the whole crowd is
over
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think matches like that. But I think overall, I think the big three, the tag match, the Cody match, and the world title match, I think would have been the same there or at home.
Yeah.
And so I would probably grade this at about a high B, one of their better shows that they put on. Mm-hmm. But I think the women's match was very sloppy and not very good. And I do think the Hager match was a good intro, but still wasn't a very good one. Like I think that match I would have been bored at home.
Yeah, I think
I was bored almost either way.
Darby and Guevara, because Darby and Guevara, I thought, had a true opening style match where it was like they could have a match where they only went like 10 minutes long, right? It was high intensity all the way through, right? It was fun, had a couple big spots, made Guevara look good in the process of losing, got Darby Allin another big win on pay-per-view, but didn't go too long where it exposed people, right? It was just enough where it was like, nice little put a bow on it, we're good, and we're out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I think those 5 matches, and the Pac one being because I was there, made it that better. Those 5 were very good, where I think the other 2 that we mentioned is just like average or not as good. So I'd give it a B+, because not every match was like
better than
5-star.
Better than Full Gear?
Yes, because I think the world title. I think every match was almost better.
I do too.
And like they're in their place.
I thought
like
Revolution. I thought Revolution was, at least, if you're giving this a B+, I would say Full Gear was a B- to a B. I would say it's a full grade better.
Yeah. Only because when you compare like Pac and Kenny, it's kind of like the Cody MJF.
Yeah.
And that one was better. The world title match was probably better on this one.
Well, especially too.
The tag match was better on this one. Like just all the matches are just that much better on this one.
The pillars of the show that were making you want to watch the show were better in every single way, I think. So, for sure. All right, let's shift now from Revolution. Let's talk WWE Super Showdown. We watched it the day before we left for Chicago, so we had, it's still pretty fresh in our minds. The big news coming out of that show, Goldberg is somehow, at the ripe young age of 104, is your Universal Champion, beats The Fiend in 35 seconds. Brock Lesnar beats Ricochet in 12 seconds. These are exaggerating, but only by a little bit. We had new tag champs, Miz and Morrison with the tag titles. Undertaker came back and won that weird
2-week trophy.
Won the Glacier Trophy or whatever it is. Thoughts on Super Showdown as a whole first, and then let's dive into the Goldberg thing in a second.
I think the show is fine for what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not really a pay-per-view. It's kind of like a
big live event.
It's a huge live event or house show, I guess. It's like a glorified house show, I guess is what they call it. It's not like, this is pay-per-view, like top 5 pay-per-view classic stuff. It's very live event-ish. Yeah. So I guess for a live event, it wasn't as bad as some of them are, I guess. Yeah. I didn't mind some of the outcomes in the gauntlet match were weird, but I didn't mind the outcome of it.
I thought it was fine. We'll talk Impact on Mania in a second. But give me your thoughts on just for a second here, because I think I'm in agreement with you. I don't think this show is as bad as people are making it out to be, right? And here's why. Because I think if you're talking as far as in-ring action and entertainment value, let's take the 2 world title matches out of it just for a second, right? We take those out of it. It's only 3 minutes of the whole show, so it's very easily to take it out of it. If you take that part out, I would say this card was fine. Nothing. Taker setting up his match with AJ, fine, right? Those tag matches were fine. The women's match, fine, not a big deal. I thought it was an okay show overall. But now, let's throw in those world title matches, and I think that's where people get upset. The Goldberg thing, the Brock destroying Ricochet as easily as Ricochet got no offense, like none. It was worse than Cena at SummerSlam.
Yeah. See, I don't hate the Ricochet match though.
I don't either. Because it was a filler. We knew it was
I didn't expect literally anything. Like I didn't expect you, because the difference between this one and previous Lesnar matches with smaller guys is this one's at Mania. So in a sense, you're almost making this match feel like Lesnar's getting ready for Drew McIntyre, who's an absolute beast. Exactly. So you have to go through Ricochet.
Right, and he has to go through him very easily.
Very easily, because if he doesn't, you go, okay, so
Lesnar's not ready.
Yeah, he's not ready. Yeah. Right now, you're showing, and Lesnar probably won't fight again until Mania. Nope. You're going, wow, Lesnar's focused and ready just for Mania against Drew McIntyre. Exactly. So I think if you look at it through that lens, I'm like, I guess you didn't look fine.
Right, and Ricochet fans like, well, they did him dirty. I'm like, here's two things. Number one, you're in the ring with Brock Lesnar, so obviously they have some sort of faith in you. Number two, Ricochet hasn't done anything to justify having a shot against Lesnar. Yeah. Look at every guy Lesnar's faced. Cena, Triple H, Taker, AJ, Daniel Bryan. I mean, name a guy. Seth Rollins, Reigns. All these guys, Ambrose even. All these guys have something else to their name where they can go, I could see it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Ricochet doesn't have that yet. It wasn't. Yeah. This was strictly to get him elevated to a point where they could go, let's see how this goes. Mm-hmm. That's all it was, right? Yeah. Now let's talk the big controversy, I guess you want to call it that. You know, Goldberg wins the Universal title against The Fiend, wins in about 3 minutes, right? Spear, mandible claw, bad jackhammer, and we got a new champion. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on Goldberg getting the title again? Oh boy. They really like giving old guys
the world titles.
Yeah.
And that's about all I can say about that.
Here's the thing.
It's just
right. It's tough, right? And on immediate reaction, you go, "What the hell?" Right? That's the first thing you say. But here's where the problem lies with this kind of stuff, right? And this is why I think WrestleMania is not as good as it was, say, 20 years ago, right? And this is why, in my opinion, they are too reliant upon what they think is the biggest quote-unquote attraction compared to what is going to be the best match, right? You look at a match like, let's just take WrestleMania 20, right? Because that was a solid 15, 16 years ago, right? WrestleMania 20, right? The world title match. You had Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero for the title, and then you had Chris Benoit, sorry, you gotta mention him, Triple H and Shawn for the world titles, right? Those are your 2 world title matches. Mm-hmm. There ain't a bad wrestler in the bunch in that group, right? Let's take a look at the past couple years. What have we had? Brock versus Goldberg, an old Rock versus Cena. We've had, we had Seth last year and Brock. What did we have for the other title? Do you remember? Oh, Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston. That's, I don't know. The importance on the world titles and the importance of putting your best workers in those spots is gone, on the most part. It's not there anymore. So if going based off of attraction, then yes, I would say that Goldberg versus Roman Reigns is a bigger match at WrestleMania than The Fiend versus Roman Reigns is. But, point being, you spent all this time trying to establish this new character. Mm-hmm. He beats Seth Rollins clean, easily. He beats Daniel Bryan several times. He beats The Miz without even being The Fiend. He beat all these guys easily, no problems. And then you go up against a 55-year-old man who can't wrestle for more than 4 minutes at a time, who can only do 4 moves, punch, kick, spear, and sometimes jackhammer, not even completely. And yet we're going to just have him get demolished just so we can have another quote-unquote attraction to face John Cena.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's not even facing Cena.
No, he is.
Who?
The Fiend is.
Oh, okay. You're talking about The Fiend.
The Fiend is. So you make these 2 attraction matches, but at the same time, correct me if I'm wrong, would it have been better if they just went Roman versus The Fiend and then Cena versus Goldberg? Not match quality wise, not what I'm saying. But from an attraction standpoint, Cena, the quote unquote greatest of our generation, against a guy that they are trying to make erase history and not pretend like he wasn't terrible even in his prime, and say, all right, Goldberg's never faced Cena. Mm-hmm. Cena's faced Brock. He's beat everybody else. He's never beat Goldberg.
See, what I find interesting is
if we only had those 4 guys to work with, I guess.
Okay. But in that way, I find it interesting because this seems like a thing that they would do if they split WrestleMania into 2 days.
Yes.
And like night 1, you want an attraction on each night. Yeah. But like. Because all you need is Cena, like the way you put it up as Cena versus Goldberg, like no one's gonna be like, wow, that's the match, and then never watch the rest of WrestleMania. Right. Like you're watching that, you're just going to watch WrestleMania through. So the fact, like, I don't think you need to split those guys up in the way that they're doing.
I know,
and kill characters because of it.
Right.
So that's my problem I have with it. I guess that's
and I think some people have made the justification too that you're trying to pass the heat on him beating the Fiend to Goldberg rather than Roman, which, and to a certain extent, I do understand that, right? But at the same time, it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense for this monster, the Fiend, to go through and completely demolish everybody in his path since winning the title, right? And then have a guy come in, and just for Roman to beat him, it's like we know what's going to happen already. Even if we're going into WrestleMania assuming that Roman's going to walk out champion regardless of who he's challenging, that's fine. But I would have rather seen the Fiend face Roman. At least then I could have gotten a story out of this. Right now it's, okay, well, Roman just challenged Goldberg, and I guess that's the match at Mania. And that's literally it.
You want to know what's funny was that there's a report that came out that said that they were going to have a chamber match so Roman could win and like legitimate reason. Right. And then they said that Vince came out and said that fans already knew that they wanted this match, so they just canceled the Elimination Chamber match in general. Right. And just put them against each other. And
that doesn't shock me, right? I'm honestly glad they would do that. Because at least they understand that, all right, there's no point in me watching this chamber match because I know Roman's going over.
Yeah.
But at the same token, though, it's like, but there's no story with Goldberg and Roman, right? I would have even had Roman challenge the Fiend because the Fiend could have come out and said, I can't be stopped. I am the eater of worlds, whatever you want to say. I've beaten everybody you wanted to. I've turned everybody you wanted. I've destroyed them all. I even defeated Goldberg, right? You're like a saving, conquering, old-time hero. And then here comes Roman to save the day, whatever.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
See, I get that story. I think the only other story you can tell with this, which is what they're going to probably do, is Fiend was so unstoppable. And this kills the Fiend that they're doing it. Yeah. But this is what they're going to do is, the Fiend is so unstoppable. Goldberg stops him, and he's like, now I'm unstoppable. So then it's like when Roman, it's like every time he versus Brock Lesnar, as Lesnar wins the title off this Braun Strowman, who's like no one can stop, and then when Roman comes in to beat him, you're like, well, now
it's just confusing why you'd invest so much time into a character. Now I do agree that they needed to get the title off the Fiend because I do think the Fiend is better without the championship. I think he's better chasing the title than he is with the title because you'd rather have, with a character like that, you'd rather have him be the one saying, I'm coming after you, rather than I have to come after him. Yeah. You know what I mean? That part I get.
The problem with his character, though, is that since they made him so... I think this is nice because now he's not unstoppable, where there's a way to... It's kind of like The Undertaker, where it's like, once he lost the first time, now it's like, okay, he's beatable. Right. Because until you set that up, I get, he's so much better chasing, but once he has the title and he can't be stopped...
Right. What do you do?
What do you get? There's no way to get... Unless you do a triple threat where he doesn't take a fall.
I'm just worried that they're going to ruin Roman again because, Roman's been kind of flying under the radar doing this Baron Corbin thing for 7 years or whatever, but you have to be very careful now, though, because if everyone knows, okay, Roman's going to take the title, you don't want people to boo Roman Reigns winning the championship. You don't. No. So you need to make Goldberg a monster heel in the next couple weeks. Yeah. He needs to be like, I don't care what you think. It doesn't matter what you all that crap, right? The typical part-timer shtick. Yeah. And he needs to go hard with it. But you can't say, well, I'm here every week with Roman. You can't do that either because that's what Cena did. And you can't do that. But you just need to make Goldberg so hateable where it's like anybody else is way more palatable. It's like when Sheamus held the title, right? When he won Money in the Bank. And then when Roman won it on Raw, everyone was like, oh, thank goodness, because Sheamus is just terrible. That's the best case scenario for this, is Roman to win the title and Roman just goes, okay, cool, at least Roman's champion, we can deal. Rather than people be genuinely excited about him winning in a possible, legit, hard-fought, no-holds-barred match against the Fiend, we're going to get a 6-minute schmaz. So it's just confusing me. Anyway, all right, that's going to be able to snuff wrestling talk for this week's show. On the second half of the show, we have a whole bunch of Red Wings news. They traded AnthonyCio, he gone. Mike Green, he gone. We're going to talk about that, the state of the Red Wings, and then we're going to end the show with our favorite topic, the most requested topic, the most in-depth topic of our show, the Merkzone Mock Draft. We got Combine stuff come out as well. All that great stuff after the break. Stick around. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. once again, like I said before, if we're not our lively, perky selves, because me and Mike have been traveling all weekend, 10-plus hours on the road. We were just back from Chicago. Literally, just moments ago, we just got back, actually, and we literally put our bags down and we had to make sure we got this show out to you guys. So if today's a little bit shorter of an episode, you will probably know why. But Mike, let's just jump right in now. Red Wing news coming out. Finally, there's something to talk about. I know some Red Wing fans always go, why don't you guys talk about the Wings more? It's like, what's there to talk about? We're terrible. We're the worst team in the league. Hope to God we get the first overall pick. That's really all you can say. Yeah. Tiger fans, sorry, it's kind of the same thing for them too.
Well, it's really the same for all of them, but we have to find something. That's why
I know.
We like football the most, so since we all suck, we just usually end up talking about football.
Exactly.
But if we were like hockey fans, we talk about hockey the most.
Yeah, and it's tough too, because when you look at these teams, there's baseball and hockey. It's easy. In the NFL, it's almost like there's a higher chance that all of a sudden, they all of a sudden were 10-6. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where in hockey and baseball, that never happens. It's just, development takes longer. Rookies don't have impacts like they do in the NFL or even the NBA for that matter, right? Like if the Pistons somehow suck enough when they get the first pick this year, then, there's something where you're like, oh man, we got a guy that potentially could turn the franchise around. Is that going to happen? No, but the thought is there. But let's talk Wings though for a second. Mike Green, he gets traded. We kind of knew that was coming. Long-time defenseman for us. He's gone. He's going to the Oilers, and so is actually Andreas Athanasiou. We're getting 2 second-round picks for his fast butt. He's gone. Was never really able to find a groove this year, especially. The offensive output has been atrocious. His defensive output has basically been, has never really been very good, so it is what it is there. Thoughts, though, the Wings now, they're probably going to have the first overall pick, hopefully, right? They have the highest chance to at least get the first overall pick in the draft. They're going to have 3 second-round picks this year. I
heard that we were getting like 7 or 8 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Yes, exactly. We have a lot of ammunition, right? And Stevie Y came out and basically said, listen, we're not very good. We're not going to make the playoffs. We haven't been competitive, so we need to address draft capital. We need to get as much as we can. We need to get as many young prospects in the door as possible because we need to figure this out. It's not going to be an overnight thing, and this feels like a broken record even for us to talk about it because it's like, once again, it's like have that patience. But in all honesty, I've just been saying the same thing. It's like, what do you want us to do? Mm-hmm. This is the only thing you can do. At least they are embracing it to the utmost extent where I said, listen, you're not in the future, so we're going to flip you now for as much as you can. The Oilers are in a different situation. They're trying to keep Connor McDavid from leaving. Kenny Holland's over there now as the GM, which I think is kind of crazy, actually, that he's getting to grab guys. Thoughts on the deals, and are you still fully are you still on track with Yzerman's viewpoint, where it's like, we're terrible, there's not a lot of talent on this team, we need to get as many throws at the dartboard as possible because we need to overhaul everything.
Yeah. Well, this is the exact way I love rebuilds to go. Yeah. Is if you know you're going to be bad, at least embrace it and then throw as many darts as you can at the dartboard, and hopefully you can get one to stick. Because statistically, if you get 8 picks in the first 2 or 3 rounds, you're going to find one guy that's redeemable out of your 8, exactly. right? Statistically, it has to almost happen. Yeah. So that's always my approach to it. And flipping those guys that you're talking about is perfect because if they're not going to help us in 3 years when we're going to be hopefully good again, then we don't need you on the team. That's what I've been asking the Pistons to do for the last 5 years. Is
they finally started a little bit.
If you would have traded Drummond last year, you probably would have got a little more from him, but you waited so long because you thought you might be good. At least you can embrace that you're not going to be good, and you can start flipping everything now. So I'm proud, and hopefully we do get a number 1 pick, or we get a top 3 pick, and hopefully we can get something that
and I think
sticks.
It's hard for a lot of Red Wings fans too, because you look at this team, and I don't think people realize that the reason why we're in this is because of Ken Holland trying to extend the proverbial streak. We try to do so many of these moves to prevent ourselves from going into the NHL gutter and to somehow stay in the playoff hunt, right? It was almost like as long as we get there, then we quote-unquote have a chance, and that Red Wing luck is going to swing back our way. The problem with that is that you didn't have enough good players to make that make that thing happen, you know? So you mortgage the future in order to pay off now, in order to kind of, you know, oh, wow, 21, 22 straight seasons in the playoffs. Okay, great, but if you've only made 4 or 5 Western Conference title runs in that time, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? We got 1 championship out of that deal, you know? So it's like...
There was one NBA team that slowly did that. That's the Spurs.
Yes.
They got a little more success out of it than the Red Wings did. But, man, like right now, they're not looking too good.
Right.
But they're like, man, we just got to get one more.
Right.
One more. Hopefully it turns around.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, that whole thing's just going to plummet.
Right.
And
Popovich is going to retire.
And
have a new
you don't have any real players in there. And then you're going to be literally the worst team in basketball for about 3 years.
Yep.
And Spurs fans aren't really realizing that right now. Well, but it's going to hit them hard.
No one remembers what the Spurs were like before Popovich, because that's what they were. They were the worst team in the league. Right? And then they were able to go draft Glenn Robinson, and then they drafted Tim Duncan and won a championship. That's what happened, you know? So with the Wings, you know, you got your championships in 2002, right? You got your, you know, your couple in the 90s. You got your one in 02. You got your one in 07. I get that. So we got a few championships out of that run, no doubt. But after 07, all right, fine. After 2008, when we lost the Penguins in the final, you know, the year after that, it was an all downhill. You lost to San Jose, and you never really got back since then. You blew that 1 year against Chicago where you had all the young guns. You thought maybe you were going to do something, but even then, it was a disaster. So you got all this time that you've been kicking this can down the road. At some point, it was bound to happen where you're going to be at now. You know, I can appreciate the fact that Yzerman, once again, took this job. A, that he took the job, first of all, thank you. 2, the fact that he was willing to say, all right, if this is clearly not going the way we want to, we need to tear this down and rethink the way we do everything. Not just scouting, not just player contracts. We need to rethink it all. They made trades after trade. I mean, he's been so busy, not even at the trade deadline, but during the year. All right, let's try this, dude. Let's try this. Let's do this. Anything he can to see what we can get to make stick a little bit. He's trying to kind of reshape this roster, but there's only so much room you can do. The NHL salary cap is so tight. It's like, it's not even, I don't even know how they operate a lot of times. Yeah. So you got a lot of guys that you're paying right now that aren't worth anything. So he's got to deal with guys that are under contract that, you know, he doesn't even want. You know what I mean? You're paying Johan Franzen still, for God's sakes. Like, stuff like that is insane. So, once again, Red Wing fans, I know we don't talk a lot about the Wings right now. It's hard to, you know, when the draft comes around, especially with the number 1 overall pick, we'll obviously talk about them then, but, you know, just embrace this time. Watch another team. Go watch minor league hockey. Go do whatever you got to do. Do what us Lions fans do every single week, and have a backup team just in case, you know, another conference. Just, you know, just embrace the fact that you have a guy that you think knows what he's doing. So let him do his job, and get, you know, the more picks he's got, the more chance we've got to success. So be excited about that. All right. Let's go to the last topic of the episode. I'm super excited about it. We've got another Merkzone Mock Draft. The NFL Combine was this past weekend. All of the big names that we said was going to show out, the ones at least that actually participated showed out. Isaiah Simmons, shocker, genetic freak. You know, it's me and Mike were talking about this on the way back from Chicago, and it's funny that everyone now is on the Isaiah Simmons train here in Detroit because he's a freak of nature, right? He ran a 4.39 40. You know, his relative athletic score was a 10, which is crazy. All these different things, all the different metrics that we've said from the beginning he was going to score out of his mind, and we've been talking about this guy now since before the national title game. It's like, this guy's a genetic freak. He's amazing. You know, and he finally goes out and shows it, and everybody goes, oh my gosh, I want him on the Lions. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. You know, so I'm sure when Okuda does all his stuff, it's going to be the same thing, you know, whenever we get those measurables in. But, you know, so a lot of guys won that day. Right before we go to this mock draft, though, Mike, we watched the quarterbacks. That was right before we actually went to Chicago, right? Is there any quarterback that maybe you weren't looking at? You know, obviously like the Herbert. I know Burrow didn't throw. Tua was not throwing, but Herbert had a nice day. Eason. You know, any guy that stood out to you just from a quarterback perspective, just because there's always some sort of talk now about Detroit and the quarterback?
Hold on, I gotta look up the quarterbacks that threw, because there was one guy, but I have to. Oh, Jordan Love. But everyone loves Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But I think Jordan Love is.
So you think he helped himself out quite a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Jalen Hurts.
Yes,
I think
that's my guy.
They both helped a lot throwing in this combine.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts to me is the guy that helped himself the most in this entire draft as far as quarterbacks go. Just because he was accurate, He ran fast, and in knowing that he was going to run fast, knowing that the problem that he had was accuracy issues, and the fact that he was able to go out there and like look like a different quarterback, to me made me like, wow, if he was there, especially if they trade down, they have some extra mid picks in the ammunition, if they think that, you know, he could be a guy that he could be the future of the league, I wouldn't mind the Lions taking him in the late third. You know, I don't know if he's going to be there, but I mean, I'd welcome that opportunity, especially if you don't anticipate you're going to be the worst in the league next year. So you're not going to get Trevor Lawrence anyway. It's not the worst thing. I'm not saying first round. I'm not saying second round, but late third, early fourth. At that point, it's about value. At that point, you know, and at some point, Stafford is going to need to get replaced. I mean, he's 32 now. Let's say we get even one more contract out of him, which I know scares the bejesus out of people in Detroit. Even if they get him another contract, right? Say he's 38. At some point, you need a new QB. You know, so it just something to think about, guys. Really, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in this draft. But all right, let's get actually to the mock draft itself. Who's this by?
This is from draftekey.com.
Okay.
It's awesome. Sure.
Hard sell.
It was updated. What's March 1st? Today. Hey,
Today.
It was updated this morning.
All right, cool.
Updates factored in combine re-rankings. So
Okay. Do we have trades in this?
there are possible trades, but I don't really know. Oh, I do know numbers and everything that were traded. Okay. So.
Oh, good.
So I can update you on
All right. So first pick. Joe Burrow.
Cincinnati stays, and they pick Joe Burrow.
Okay, quick question for you, though, just real quick.
Quick answer.
If Tua gets drafted first, let's just say... Hypothetically, if Tua goes first, right?
Yeah.
If you're Washington, does that, like, floor you almost? Where, like, you're like, oh, crap, does that change your mindset at all if Burrow's there? Because some people, like Bucky Brooks, who I don't really like or respect his opinion a lot of times, but he's a guy on NFL.com who's got Tua ranked above Burrow, okay? Just by a smidge like that. His rankings are weird. But anyway, he's one of the guys that people look and go, okay, they got Tua above Burrow, right? I don't have Tua above Burrow, but at the same time, I know maybe some people do. So let's just say Cincinnati has that situation. If you're Washington and you think, and you automatically assume that Burrow's going one, so he doesn't, Burrow is there, are you still in love with Haskins, and that you're okay with taking Chase Young? Or does that completely change your mindset? You're like, maybe we should take Joe Burrow because he's our best prospect on the board.
To be fair, I think that Tua should go to Washington regardless.
Yeah.
Because I think Tua is better at Dwayne Haskins than literally every sense of the measurement. Just by throwing, running,
I don't doubt
calling play, whatever tangible you want. I think Tua's better. Besides, he's a little more injury prone probably with his hip and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's 100% fine. So I think if Cincinnati did fall in love with Burrow or fell in love with Tua and took him at one, I mean, I don't know if you love Burrow as much as Tua. You know what I mean? So
who's your ranking? Do you have Burrow ahead of Tua, or do you have Tua above
I have Tua ahead.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, because I think Tua showed more in more years. I appreciate the guy who breaks out in 1 year and breaks every statistical record in college football.
Right.
But that's like an anomaly year when you have all senior wide receivers and everything working for you. I think Tua was really working on. He won the national championship game, and then he played a full year against SEC defense. Yeah. That's one of the toughest defenses in football. Right. So I take Tua just a little bit, especially if he's 100% healthy. So I don't know if Washington looks at Joe Burrow and goes, we really wanted Tua, but if it's not Tua, I guess we'll take Chase Young. I don't know, that's how I would see it. Right. But
so Joe Burrow's not on your board then. If you're
not in the top 2 or 3. I would say no.
Okay.
I personally wouldn't take him.
So anyway, Cincinnati's taking Joe.
Cincinnati takes Joe at number 1.
So Washington then takes Chase Young.
They do say it too and take Chase Young.
Okay, so
probably a mistake.
Lions fans.
But they take Chase Young.
Probably a mistake.
And number 3, what do you think the Lions do?
I'm going to say they trade down because everybody and their mom thinks that the Lions pick, especially because I think Washington's bluffing, honestly. Everyone now, because Ron Rivera said that, Washington's looking quarterback seriously, right? I think that they will, but I think Ron Rivera knows that he's going to build his team off defense, and I think his defense is a lot closer than his offense is. So I think that they're going to go, all right, even if we're terrible next year, we got a shot, we can move some assets around and go get Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, at least can accept Washington for at least bluffing. The Lions aren't bluffing at all, but they do trade down. Yeah. They get number 5 number 39, and number 153, and a future first.
Holy shit!
For maybe like next year. I'm assuming it's
all right. So we don't get any first round pick this year,
but it's gonna be like a next year thing.
Okay.
For the number 3 spot like flips.
So 39. That's in the second round, right?
39 is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, early.
Yeah, early second round. Yeah. It's the 5th pick or whatever in the second round. Or 7th or whatever. But either way, I don't know if I really like that necessarily because I'm gonna need one of those ones now. Especially if you're Bob Quinn, you don't know if you're going to be there next year to make that pick. So either way, in that case, all right, Miami trades up. They take Tua.
Yes.
Okay, they take Tua.
Number 4,
the Giants are going to take. I'm going to say they're going to take Isaiah Simmons.
They don't.
They don't. They still go tackle.
They take an offensive tackle out of Iowa, Tristan Wirfs.
Really, that's the one they took.
Sure.
Huh? Wow. All right. I'm surprised they didn't take the one out of Louisville. He's the one who ran like crazy fast.
Yeah, but tackles don't need to be fast.
I know, but like his measurables were like crazy. But anyway, all right. So we're 5. Yeah. I'm going to say they take Simmons. No.
Okay. Well, you were wrong. They take Okudah. I would love Simmons in this spot, but they won't take Simmons. They will pick Jeffrey Okudah.
Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? For me, I'm just going based off of trends, right? Because now like the Simmons train is hot as could be right now, right? So my thought was, all right, Okudah's probably the pick, but I'm gonna say this once again, man. You know, take the combine stuff out of it for a second. Simmons fills a lot of needs. You know, he's a linebacker who's probably your best linebacker immediately, number 1. Number 2, I think he could play the Tavon Wilson type role in this defense where like a third safety who really just plays linebacker, plays the run really well. That's probably what he's going to play in a Matt Patricia defense. So it's going to be very hard for the Lions, I think, to pass up on unless they think Okudah is the man. Yeah. Like Jalen Ramsey, the man.
Yeah. Then I think since his combine is until tomorrow, and his updating was today, I think it's kind of hard to be like, no, for sure. Because Okudah does have a good combine. Maybe that changes everything.
Yeah,
I say Simmons the next pick for the next 2 months.
We are so close to free agency, Mike. We are like 3 weeks away from free agency, and I am
March 18th.
So excited for free agency. I can't even.
See, as you're excited for free agency, I'm excited for March Madness.
Right, and that's cool, right? I'm excited for that. I'm going to the draft day party in April, too, for the Lions. I am pumped. I am so ready for the offseason to officially kick off. But all right, fine. We take Okudah. 6, the Chargers, they take Herbert.
They will.
They take Herbert. All right, 7 is who?
Carolina.
They're going to take Derek Brown.
No, they take Isaiah Simmons.
Wow, I'm way off today. Last draft we did, I was like killing it. This one, I'm terrible.
Yeah. Number 8, Arizona.
Wide receiver?
Offensive tackle.
Really? Wow, I'm surprised. Especially with the way Ruggs ran that 40. You know, Jerry Jeudy ran 4.4. I'm surprised by that, honestly.
Arizona took the guy out of Louisville. Back then.
Yeah.
Some notable guys that go.
Where does Derek Brown go?
He goes number 12 to Las Vegas Raiders.
Raiders? Okay.
Yeah, Raiders.
We've seen a lot of those 3 guys. We've seen the Raiders have Simmons and Derek Brown at some point. We've seen Carolina now take both Derek Brown and that too. So interesting.
Jerry Jeudy goes 15 to Denver.
Okay.
16 Jacksonville takes C.D. Lamb, which I'm not shocked at all.
C.D. Lamb is fantastic.
19 Las Vegas takes Henry Ruggs.
That makes a lot of sense. I think Vegas is in line, especially if Brady stays or doesn't go there, that they're in line for a quarterback.
One more time?
You think Las Vegas thinks about taking a quarterback with their other pick?
I don't know, because I don't know how much I don't know. I've heard reports that Gruden doesn't love Derek Carr, but I think Derek Carr is serviceable enough to at least, because you're not like playoff, like you haven't been to the playoffs 5 years in a row where you're like you need a new guy to get you over the hump. Right. Like you're still like at the 7, 9, 8, 8 level. Right. So I think you can go build the rest of your team and then like find that quarterback next year and be like, all right, or maybe if you can get Jordan Love in the second round, I guess I would pull that too.
Right.
And that's about it for the first round. So the big notable names I would say. I guess T. Higgins to Buffalo at 22. As a big time wide receiver.
Another weapon for Josh Allen.
All right, so we head to the second round where we start off with Cincinnati taking Antoine Winfield Jr. out of Minnesota.
Right.
And Jordan Love goes to Indianapolis at 34.
Now that doesn't shock me.
That doesn't shock me at all.
At all, right? I don't even know if he'll be there. So Indy may need to trade up in the late half of the first round to go get him. So I've seen a lot of times where like you can give up that early second because they have the second pick, right? Mm-hmm. An early second along with say like a late 5 or 6 to move up back into the first round, like in the very late stages because they're so close together. Those picks are. So I'm guessing you have a cluster of guys. Yeah. If you're the Packers or if you're the Niners, something like that, where you could easily move out of the first and still get the guy you want 3 picks later. Yeah. So it's one of those things where that wouldn't shock me at all to see him go.
So where do you think Detroit goes, since you probably don't know names of people in the second and third round?
Yeah, boy, it's going to be tough. I'm going to say a name that I don't think anybody's talking about yet, but especially because they got another second round pick though, don't they? Okay, so
they have 2. They have a number 35 and a 39.
All right, fine. Then the first one I'm going to go with, I'm going to say it's going to be somewhere on the defensive side of the ball. Then did Xavier McKinney from the safety from Bama go already in the first round?
I can check. I don't think so, unless he went very late and I just didn't see it. Xavier, he did not go yet.
I think it's his name, Xavier McKinney. I think it's his
Oh no, he went to Dallas at 17.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Okay, all right, cool. Because he's the number 1 safety in a lot of people's mind. Is Grant Delpit there, or did he go in the first round too?
He did not go yet.
Okay, I'm going to say Grant Delpit, just because he's the next safety on the board for me.
He did not. We actually go defensive. We go edge rusher.
Okay.
We pick Terrell Lewis, Alabama.
Okay.
Next edge rusher out of Alabama.
Fine. Okay. So
then we get a 39 pick.
Okay, so no 39 pick. I'm going to say it's based off of the first couple wide receivers being gone at this point. I say they take Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame, the wide receiver. Here's why I'm saying wide receiver in this spot, right? Is because for a couple reasons. Number 1, had a great combine, ran real fast, ran a 4.40, right? Nothing touched the ground when he caught the ball. It's a guy that I don't think enough people are talking about that helped his level quite a bit, and I don't think you're going to be able to get him in the third. So in this scenario here, I think you need another wide receiver, and I think this dude could fit your Marvin Jones role, where if you don't want to keep Marvin after this year, I think you take him. But maybe that's too high. I don't know. Mm-hmm. He's my Paris Campbell of this year's draft, where I liked his combine workout quite a bit. I was extremely impressed, and I thought he did quite a bit for himself, especially knowing that T. Higgins, CeeDee Lamb, Judy, and Ruggs are all probably going to go round 1. Mm-hmm. I think after that, it's just based off your preference, and I think he fits Marvin's spot pretty good.
Okay.
I'm guessing I'm wrong, but
with all that great analysis,
right.
You were wrong.
Yeah.
We end up taking an offensive guard out of Fresno State.
Yeah.
Nitin Muti.
Right. Yeah. That doesn't shock me either. They take an offensive lineman, but I would almost. It's going to be weird. That's why I think you almost need to take. It's almost like you almost are really going to need that other first round pick this year, because I think then you take an edge guy, right, and then the second round, whatever, you take the interior offensive lineman, just because of that need right there, because they have a lot of needs. So in this draft, they're trying to fill spots, and theoretically, wide receiver is not a quote unquote need, but it's going to be. And so for me, I'm like, all right, well, if the guy's there, go for it. But all right. Anybody else? Where does he go, dude? Does he go in the second round at all?
He does not.
He doesn't?
I've not seen his name pop up yet.
I overdrafted.
Notable names, Tampa Bay takes DeAndre Swift out of Georgia at 45.
Any other quarterbacks go in the second round?
Quarterbacks?
Yeah, quarterbacks.
We get Jake Fromm goes to Tennessee at 61.
Weird, but okay.
Because they don't have a guy there, I guess.
Yeah.
And Ben Bredesen out of Michigan, offensive guard, goes to Seattle at 59.
Okay. So Jalen Hurts is still there in the third then?
He is still there.
All right. Just give me who the Lions take in the third.
Third round, I think you might love this. They take J.K. Dobbins at 67.
Oh, boy. If he's still there, I am doing backflips, my friend. Heck yeah. I'm all about that. Yes, sir, Rebob.
And then later in the third round, you find, I'm pretty sure, you get Josh Uche going to Tennessee also.
Yeah.
From Michigan.
If they get a couple second rounders, I think Uche's on the board for them because he was on the Senior Bowl team for them too. I definitely think Uche's on the board in the middle rounds.
And your guy Jalen Hurts will drop to 99 to New England.
Oh, of course. Of course he goes there. God bless America. See? Belichick's scouting too. He's got the same eyes as me.
Yeah. He's got the exact same eyes.
7 Super Bowls as far, 8 Super Bowls, whatever. Claypool doesn't even go in the third either? Seriously? Man, I thought he had a hell of a day combine wise. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I fell in love with the guy because I just thought he looked good. I don't know what it was, but I like I said, ran a fast 40. You know, got great hands, for my opinion. The numbers match. You know what Notre Dame's offensive output could be. You know, like I said, just a guy that for me kind of jumped off the screen a little bit. You know. I have guys like that, you know, like Simmons, obviously, from tape alone, right? Delpit, just from his Final Four, a couple games, I thought went really well. There are certain guys that just kind of jump off the screen for you, especially in relation to your team. He was a guy, for me, that just was like, oh, I didn't really know of him during the season, but wow, coming out of it, you know, you got some numbers to play with. But, all right, not a terrible draft. You know, they address some needs there. But, all right, that's going to be it for this week's episode of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. Like I said, every single week we are live Mondays, 7 a.m. This episode will be uploaded on YouTube Wednesday, 7 a.m. Be sure to check out our website, I'mAlwaysRightPC.com. That's going to be it from the Missing Whaleman for the Merkzone. I'm the Mouth of Michigan, and we will see you guys, as always, next time.